welcome to Cordkillers Reckoning. The world of entertainment is turned upside down, and we're just trying to find out how to watch what we want, where we want, whenever we want. I'm Tom Merritt. Brian, where's the good stuff?
Oh, man, the good stuff is in our heart right here on the Austin City Limits, where hopefully people will be able to join us in about a month. But that's the bestnewsever.com. We'll get to that later on.
That is the best stuff ever. Yeah. Stick around for some more details about how you could just hang out with us.
Yep.
And see a live Cordkillers, as a matter of fact. Meanwhile, let's get to the supply run. Supply run.
Supply run. Supply run. Supply run.
I'll tell you where it is. It's at MoviePass. No, we're not talking about a documentary. No, we're not talking about a court case. MoviePass, the resurrected version under the original founder, has launched Mogul, Brian, fantasy sports for Hollywood. I feel like they're coming for the movie draft with this, but here's the details. You update your lineup of movie actors each day. So it's not picking titles, you're picking actors, and you can change them out. They then participate in fantasy-style tournaments that last about a week, plus one-on-one competitions and solo challenges. Participants make calls on the results of various things such as box office results, audience turnout, critic ratings, and potential award winners. If you win, you get an NFT. Beta testers receive a digital wallet to securely store their in-game virtual currency, rewards, and collectibles. So you want to pick people who are in movies that are out, especially movies that are debuting, to win this. It is more like fantasy sports in the sense of, like, with fantasy sports, you have your baseball lineup and you decide whose stats are going to count that day, except this is that for actors.
Yeah, so let's talk about fantasy sports. Used to be it was for love of the game. And then a little thing called DraftKings came along, and suddenly it was for the love of Christ, this is just gambling. Tom, is that what is running this?
Yes, but they would rather not try to be regulated that way. So instead of it being not really gambling, but more like the kind of gambling that's cryptocurrency, where you can do like box office betting on how good stuff is. You're doing that with cryptocurrency. So I think they're skating by saying, no, the cryptocurrency is just counting the points for your fantasy.
Right. And
that way they avoid the regulation that would come with being gambling.
So there are some fascinating black markets that pop up with this kind of thing. For example, per the terms of service in World of Warcraft, Warcraft Gold is not worth anything. It is just a fantasy construct as fun of a jolly jape of a game. Now, and that therefore means when people released epic mounts in the late aughts, and somebody went on to Craigslist saying that she would have sex for an epic mount, it legally was not prostitution. It was just two friends hooking up and having a jolly jape of a game. Meanwhile, over in EVE Online, I believe the currency is ISK, there are enough people who take EVE Online seriously enough that quite literally people were able to funnel money via that as a black market to, drumroll please, terrorism, Tom. But these are all just hilarious ways to keep score of a game.
They're jolly japes of a game.
Jolly japes.
These are the jolliest japing that ever japed. I think they're really what they wanted to do was more of a predictive market, according to TechCrunch. Which is a form of gambling of its own, right? You gamble on the results of an election or the winner of a game or something. But the predictive market casts it as, we are going to take what people are willing to put their money on and tell you what is likely to happen. Because in aggregate, people tend to bet on winners because they don't want to lose their money. So they were trying to do that for Hollywood. But again, they started to run into regulations pertaining to predictive markets and gambling. So they decided to cast it as fantasy sports. I got to be honest, a predictive market I'd be interested in, but more as a reader. Like, oh, what does the predictive market think is going to be the big grosser this week? You know, what is Thunderbolt's going to do? Did the predictive market get it right? A fantasy sports thing does pull me in more, like, oh, I draft my actors in movies and I gain points on how they do. That's more interesting.
Yeah, it does. So For anybody who wasn't there for the wild ride, years ago, back when blockbusters roamed the earth, we would play something called the summer movie draft, and then we did the winter movie draft, and we would have 6 players and only $100 game dollars each. And then we had to come up with interesting rules to account for what if you wanted to bid more than $100 on Star Wars, what have you. But it was an inherently blocky, inefficient market, and that's what made it so much fun for us. And we hope for it to be fun again. And while we were playing this game, that we would have 6 players in our game, and then everybody who was in the chat realm, they could create their own using the game dollar values that we had established and play along with us, essentially. But there was no trading live or any of that, because that all reeked of efficient markets. And there already existed, while we were playing this game, HSX, the Hollywood Stock Exchange, which was inherently a less narrative driven. It was, it's like reporting just on, stocks continued to accurately reflect the cost of things that are bought and sold, whereas we were more like picking a horse and trying to see who would win.
Yeah.
Now, that's not to say what's interesting is the game mechanics of the way they're playing it. It sounds like they've dodged the bullet of not being a boring, efficient Hollywood Stock Exchange, but also it seems more refined than our kind of 1.0 PlayStation 1 style movie draft system.
Yeah, they're striking a balance between the two, where it can be fun to win, and yeah, maybe you don't care about an NFT, but now imagine it as you get the trophy image on your fantasy sports league, which is exactly the same thing, just not with an NFT attached to it. So to me, it's like, it's whether you think NFTs are cool or not is whether that appeals to you. It's the same sort of thing of like, you're doing it for the love of the game. You want to win. You want to be able to say, I won my fantasy draft. Now, some fantasy leagues do include monetary prizes, and I think you could do that with this as well. There is in-game virtual currency that can make that possible. So there's all kinds of ways this could go, but I think it is an interesting venture on its own. The fact that it's being done by the MoviePass folks, to me, just means the MoviePass folks are like, yeah, the MoviePass thing might still work, but if it doesn't, we want to try other stuff.
Well, so think about it this way. Like, it is an inherently very, very fun game, and fantasy sports is a proven commodity. What you need is a different random noise generator that a lot of people care about. And we discovered that it was interesting. There's is it ESPN's 30 for 30 series? They had one called Silly Little Game, and it was about the creation of the very first fantasy baseball league. And it was fascinating because it tracked one for one the discovery that we experienced in the wild, creating our movie draft. And so with that being an established, proven winning game mechanic, it's a bit how like the Battle Royale mechanic was originally, when I first played it, was PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, PUBG. But then somebody was like, that's a good mechanic. Let's do Fortnite. And then all of a sudden Fortnite became a thing. And now we see various iterations on that. So you've got a mechanic that works for the game. And what you need is a narrative-driven, character-driven random number generator. And to be honest, let's pull back to the society level. If you've got a proven game mechanic, and during the pandemic, all of box office kind of took a time out, the fact that they're announcing it now, I am certain that they came up with this during the pandemic or made moves or thought of it.
Well, I don't think MoviePass had been retaken over by the founder, but yeah, sure. They might have been sitting around spitballing before they even got MoviePass. Yeah. Right.
When I say they, I mean kind of like somebody, it had occurred to them. But I love the fact, definitely the fact that they're announcing it today is a show of faith that the sun is rising on the blockbuster again.
Yeah. And Thunderbolt's making money, Sinners making money, the Fortnite movie continuing to make money, all back you up on that point, to say like, yeah, this is a time when people are going back to theaters. They may not yet reach the same heights they did in the past, but this is the best theaters have done since 2020, for sure.
You mentioned Fortnite. Did you mean Minecraft? Just
Minecraft. Because you just said Fortnite, it put Fortnite in my head. Yes, the brand new Fortnite movie.
Really out of the loop.
Minecraft. I did mean Minecraft. Sorry about that. Yeah, good catch there. Thank you. Hey, Brian, you want to stick it to the man?
Oh my God, do I ever, man. The man always keeping us down, telling us where to be, saying we're late and or early and that we can't take that. That belongs to him and his daughter. Shut up, the man. That's why we said, get out of here, the man. And we went independent.
I have a way, and frankly, I think this only really works for non-existing patrons, for new patrons, to stick it to Apple. If you're like,
go on.
Man, Apple, I'm tired of Apple always making great products and having piles of cash. I want to stick it to them.
Yeah.
So you can now, thanks to a court order, go to Patreon and use the Patreon app and subscribe to Cordkillers through a link on the Patreon app.
Wait, is this
and
new?
not have to give 30% of that cut to Apple. This
Wait,
is new.
when did this news happen? Can
This
we do
week, just this week. So the short version is Apple lost, or mostly won, a court case against Epic a couple of years ago, and one of the orders was Apple, you have to let people link out to other ways to pay. And Apple made the strictest version of that they could think of and said, you have to give us 27% of anything you make off of those links. Epic took it back to the judge, and the judge said, no, that's not what I meant. You don't get to collect 27%, and you can't put all these restrictions on how they link. They get to link however they want to. And so now Spotify, Amazon with the Kindle app, Epic are all freely linking off of their Apple App Store apps in the United States out to ways to pay that don't give Apple the 30% cut. So getting back to sticking it to the man, if you were to subscribe to Cordkillers through the Patreon app, you will be able to flout Apple and not give them 30% of that cut.
So all
and
they got to
it'll
do
be
is
30%
download this
less.
Patreon app from the iOS app store, and then they just have to type in the word Cordkillers.
Yep.
They'll find us, and then they click that button, subscribe, and they give us what? Just a buck?
Don't do it from the Apple. Don't do it in the app. Say, I want to go out and save money. Click that one.
Nice. Well played. Well, it seems like that's a good way to keep us loud, live, and independent. Also get their own RSS feed with early access to the full experience and exclusive access to our After Talk segment.
Yeah. And because of enough people doing that, we're able to do the search party. The second half of season 2 of Squid Game, which just call it season 3. This second half, first half, anyway. Second half of season 2 of Squid Game coming to Netflix on June 27th, and a teaser is out that ends with a baby crying.
Man, I'm pretty dialed out on Squid Game. Was that a big news to somebody who's in?
Did you not watch the first half of season 2 of Squid Game?
No, I did not watch the first half of season 2 of Squid Game.
Or what I would call season 2 of Squid Game. Yeah, there's a pregnant character.
Aha, got it. Okay. So, and by the way, do you think the reason that they're not calling it a season is because like it's an unresolved story at the middle of
Probably.
it nowadays?
Yeah, because it does cut off like halfway. So
Yeah, that's fair enough. But then again, I mean, Dune keeps on got your nosing us. New Dune movie's going to come out. I have no idea whether or not it'll be the end or not. It'll just be like, this is just part 3, bro. Who's to say?
Oh my gosh. I just realized they call it season 3 of Squid Game.
They do?
They do what I want. Here I am giving them all kinds of stuff, and they're doing exactly what it's season 3 of Squid Game, which does end on a cliffhanger. I don't know why they don't just call it the first half of season 2 of Squid Game.
I'm here for it.
Why did I even write that? Anyway, teaser for season 3 of Squid Game. Who put that idea in my head? Tom Merritt. All right, Netflix is adding several Alfred Hitchcock films to its library, including The Birds, Vertigo, Rear Window, Family Plot. Also, they are going to begin a 6-week screening of movies called Hitch, the Original Cinema Influencer, from May 16th to June 2nd at the Paris Theater in Manhattan. More than 50 films, including 36 by Hitchcock, so some that are just influenced by Hitchcock. But a big old film festival at an actual theater, a 90-year-old theater owned by Netflix in Manhattan, as well as putting Alfred Hitchcock films into the service.
I'll tell you what, man, if you're just going to pick a reason to do a film festival with a cohesive theme, you could do a lot worse than having Alfred Hitchcock.
I'm guessing the opportunity to acquire the rights to stream these came along, and Netflix very wisely said, how can we package this up? Hitchcock is an icon. We need to score points with film lovers. Hitchcock is a way to score points with film lovers, but not just by streaming them. We own a theater. That's why we bought this theater. So let's use the theater to do a Hitchcock Film Festival. It's going to make it harder for a lot of people to hate Netflix.
Yeah. Well, who's left hating on Netflix these days?
Anybody who doesn't like the price rise
And Kevin Spacey.
Kevin Spacey. Yeah. Oh, and maybe Scorsese. No, he did a movie with Netflix. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know who's left hating. A lot of people say they hate streaming ruining theaters, and Netflix doesn't want to do the 90-day window and all that. So that's usually where that's at. Fubo plans to launch a sports-focused pay TV bundle in time for the football season. This is not Venue. Fubo sued and got Venue shut down, but in the process got Disney to agree to close a deal to merge Fubo with Hulu Plus Live TV. That is not expected to happen until later this year or maybe next year. But Fubo's still going to do a pay TV sports bundle for football season, even before Disney gets on board, although Disney is helping by giving them rights to ESPN and stuff.
No, I got nothing. I thought I could do a rhyming thing.
Are you ready for some football, Brian? How about that?
I'm ready for some Fubo.
Yeah. Are you ready for some Fubo? Oh, that's actually pretty good.
Yeah,
they should use that.
Yeah.
From Saturday, May 17th to Monday, June 2nd, Netflix will hold screenings of its movies and TV shows at various Los Angeles theaters and venues to promote Emmy consideration. So these are TV shows in theaters, and the idea is to get people to vote for them for the Emmys. The screenings will include panel discussions and other events. Amazon is doing the same thing, but they're going above and beyond. May 4th to May 22nd, they are recreating the fallout from the Ring of Power in the Lord of Rings at a location. They have created Starlight House, the thing from The Boys, as well as Truth Bomb News Studios that you can visit, a ballet museum that goes along with the Amazon series Étoile, plus the usual screenings and panels that Netflix is doing too.
I'll tell you what, man. Go if you are somebody who might obviously look. The Emmys, the Oscars, they're all Hollywood votes for Hollywood, right? So if you're going to go see something, do you want to see it alone by yourself with your kids and your dog? Or do you want to see it in a place where highly powerful moneyed interests have dollars on the table for you to have as awesome of an experience as humanly possible?
I don't know if you have to be a member of the Emmys to get into these screenings.
But regardless, my point being, they are playing a second meta game at these events, which means they're very interested in everything being excellent about this experience.
Yeah.
And so it's like, that's the place to be.
Well, and Amazon going above and beyond by like doing Comic-Con style installations to get you to and consider for your consideration. I think Netflix is also doing like some stand-up stuff because there was a John Mulaney trailer. I guess he's going to host a bunch of those panels. He's got a show on Netflix, so that's why.
Yeah, I'm aware. I've opened Netflix in the last 3 months.
Yeah. So you've noticed. Thunderbolts debuted with $162 million, including $86 million from outside the U.S. and Canada. So doing well. Just noting the number there. We already talked about.
Yeah, I went and saw that one. Have you seen it, Tom?
I have not seen it yet. No.
Okay.
Heard it's good.
Yeah. Whoops. Yeah. We could talk about it in after talk.
Amazon MGM has worldwide distribution rights for The Beekeeper 2. That's going to have Jason Statham.
Man,
and we'll start production in the autumn.
Beekeeper was so great. I hate those movies. I hate them so much, but boy, did it make me love it. It was just like, I hope it does the exact same thing as the first one. It was like, I'm just a beekeeper. And then you think, well, clearly I can't go higher than this. And then it does, and it keeps on. And now I'm waiting for intergalactic beekeeping. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah. Is it Beekeeper 2 more bees? What would you bet on the subtitle being?
I think it's going to go, a subtitle. Beekeeper 2, Protect the Queen. It's got to be international because it was a domestic affair the first time.
I see. Yeah.
And it's maybe, and you know what? He's like, I'm sorry, I've had dual citizenship with America and Queen in England, where the Queen's not dead. She's a
hive mind the gap.
Hive mind the gap. All right. I'm here for it.
I don't know. That's a little domestic. Apple TV Plus's The Studio has been renewed for a second season. So if you're a big fan, yep, it's not done rolling out. We got another episode coming May 7th. I was
about to say, like, I'm behind.
And the Four Seasons TV adaptation that has Steve Carell and Tina Fey in it, based on the Alan Alda, Carol Burnett movie, leads Netflix shows. Everybody thought You was going to lead it, but You off to a little bit of a slow start with its new season.
Yeah, I continue to hear extraordinary things about adolescents that have me wanting to go in blind on that one. Have you
I saw the movie way back in the day, not in the theaters.
Is it based on the same thing?
Yeah, it's basically the same concept. So, apparently it's funny. All right, let's move on then to the buried treasure.
Most people want to know why they suddenly got rich.
Buried treasure.
Brian, you can't pick Andor every week for everything.
I actually watched it, the first 3 episodes. I also saw Thunderbolts. Thunderbolts, you know what? I'll talk about Thunderbolts. Thunderbolts,
What? What? No, spit it out.
I can't. It's a spoiler. It's got to go in spoiler in time. It's a James Gunn movie, and there's an invincible. Okay, this will be me non-spoilery. There's an invincible bad guy, and I thought to myself, "Oh, he's definitely invincible. They're going out of their way to make him invincible. What's going to kill him? Blank." And then because it's a James Gunn movie, that's exactly what killed him. And but because he's James Gunn, made you feel good about it the whole way. He got you to the place where I can't believe I'm in a logical place where blank was able to kill the unbeatable bad guy. I'm betting a lot of people can take a guess.
Amos actually has a buried treasure for us, and it is one of the other high-grossing movies. Amos, you saw Sinners.
I did. I watched it with my wife last Tuesday, and right after Cordkillers finished up. I rate everything on a binary. It's either thumbs up or thumbs down, and I would give Sinners a very solid thumbs up.
What's the plot of Sinners for people who don't know, like me?
It's the 1930s South U.S., and racial tensions run high. 2 brothers come back to town after being gone for a while, and they want to open a dance club for the African-American population. And then as festivities occur, there are supernatural creatures that show up and decide to make a run amok amongst the population.
Amos, I'm going to teach you to talk Hollywood. Hey, Tom.
Yeah.
It's From Dusk Till Dawn, set in Lovecraft country.
I get it now. No, I was going to say, I was going to make a joke about how it... Really? That's good. Brian hasn't even seen it. I was going to make a joke about it being unlike Thunderbolts, but then you're like, no, there's supernatural creatures, so it's not entirely unlike Thunderbolts.
Yeah, it's an interesting twist on the vampire genre.
Well, Thunderbolt's the big revenue generator this weekend. Sinners still bringing a lot of money in at the box office, and of course, my third one is hockey.
Just in general.
Yeah, the Stanley Cup playoffs are going on. The reason I thought I would mention it, though, is not because I hate the Minecraft movie. I haven't seen it. I heard it's a really fun time, especially if you love Minecraft and you don't confuse it with Fortnite regularly.
I thoroughly enjoyed it.
You saw it. Yeah, you saw it. So there. Now we've got it covered. I have been watching hockey on Max, not DirecTV. I subscribe to DirecTV now, the streaming version. I can watch all these games on TNT, on DirecTV, but every time I clicked on the little thing in Apple TV, it said, take me to the Blues game. It took me to Max, and I didn't notice. It just opened it and started streaming. It wasn't like, oh, I'm in Max. And it doesn't work as well. I thought that was notable that I have now been given one less reason to stay subscribed to DirecTV because I'm already getting the sports somewhere else that I already subscribed to.
You know what would be interesting? We talked about mechanical design thing influencing behavior. We talked about analog channel flipping translates into TikTok because bandwidth got good enough that you could channel flip. Likewise, DirecTV, I've always associated with that 1.5 second gap of changing channels. You do it, acquire signal, thing shows up on the television. And now, increasingly, your DirecTV experience will feel just obscenely degraded in slow motion compared
Although
to...
I'm getting a streaming DirecTV, so I don't have that satellite thing
All
anymore.
right. Well, yeah, I guess... never mind. Your Honor, I withdraw my question.
So they didn't add the 1.5 second pause in the DirecTV streaming channels?
No, they didn't.
To
And
fully
I
simulate
kind of miss
the-
it.
the
It's
Yeah.
like the dust on Cheetos. It's part of the experience.
They added a
it's just-
3-second streaming pause instead.
Buffer.
It's a totally different thing. Yeah.
It's not nearly as fun as acquiring signal.
Yeah, exactly. Well, folks, if you got something we should be on the lookout for, email us cordkillers@gmail.com. This is the time in the show where we get to talk about something that Brian and I are working on. And like an eclipse happens every so often, Brian and I are working on the same thing.
Yeah, dude. How did you explain it to folks in your email?
Yeah, so I sent out an email to Free Tom Newsletter on Friday and said that if you want to hear myself, Brian Brushwood, and Matt Donnelly talk about how we went independent because you would like to be independent, come do this workshop. It's going to be a focused workshop. It's going to get you ideas. It's going to get us ideas. And you get to hang out with 3 amazing people. Matt Donnelly, I think, is one of the best people on earth. You get to hang out with me and Brian. We're going to do a live Cordkillers. So if you can and you think you need this, you probably should do it. You might want to do this. Go to bestnewsever.com.
Yeah, dude. And the way I've been explaining it is like, look, we're not telling you to quit your day job and become competition to this fine show. We'd appreciate it if you kept your day job and supported us over Patreon. But you do have an independent project. And just like the laws of nature, the laws of communicating effectively with other humans are universal. They work at the small scale and the large scale. So we get to share our completely all the way open kimono stories with you guys. So, I don't know, there's lots of aha epiphanies about what tends to work. But at the end of the day, I'm trying this on for size, Tom. Tell me what you think. Look, you know that we all got to sit down and make some goals, figure out what direction we're headed. And you want clarity. You want clarity for what it is you got with your independent project, your weird thing. And you've got a direction and you want to know what the next steps are. We're going to work together and clarify that. And along the way, you're going to be able to learn to eat fire and watch Cordkillers live and hang out with Tom and Matt and Brian. You're going to do something you need to do anyway, and it's going to be intimate and emotionally charged. It's going to be great. So just head on over to Best News Ever, or as we just heard it called, bestnewsever.com.
Yeah, whatever works, whatever helps you remember it better. That's the place to go. Yeah, it's going to be useful. I think you're going to be able to get a lot from me, Brian, and Matt, because we have different experiences, and you'll be able to triangulate those experiences and apply them to your own. And trust me, I've never been more independent since my wife's been out of work for 2 years.
And it's funny because being independent, and again, we're not telling you to quit your thing. We're just saying if you have a thing, you're essentially highly diversified. We joke about having over 1,000 bosses. I mean, that's what it means. But the good news is, when you're working for a crowd, it's very hard to get the entire crowd to boo at anyone at once, unless you're America's Got Talent. Not that I would know.
Exactly. And maybe he'll tell that story if you come check us out at bestnewsever.com. Do it. Go check it out. Even if you're like, ooh, I don't know if I can afford that this time. Go check it out. I think you'll be interested in what you see. Let's move on to Scanning the Horizon.
Send a scanning crew aboard.
Scanning the horizon!
Business Insider reports that Google is creating a film and TV production unit called 100 Zeros. The idea is to work with existing studios to distribute TV shows, and one aim is to have those TV shows and movies show Google products in a good light, Brian.
Boom! oh boy, did that almost sound like a good thing until the clear propaganda angle popped up. But then again, I don't know what's better about paid product placement. I mean, to some extent, this is an answer to what Apple TV Plus is doing. And of course, while Apple TV Plus did it elegantly in a narrative-driven, easy, frictionless way that you understood that these are going to promote Apple products, but it was part of a velvet glove ecosystem. Of course, Google would do it in a very Borg-like, meep moop, we will force and wedge Google devices in.
I mean, we'll see if that's what they do. I think this is better than product placement. That's what they did
in this announcement.
That's what I did in my description of their announcement.
Got it. Okay, I thought
this is not word for word what Google said. This is what I said.
This is a telling thing about the reputation of Google with Brian Brushwood is that I totally thought it would be.
Business Insider is reporting that they're doing this. Google hasn't even announced anything.
Got it.
Yeah. So I think what Google probably wants to do, 100 zeros, by the way, a bunch of people on DTNS pointed out that's what a Google is. Mm-hmm. It's 100 zeros after a 1. I think what they're trying to do is what you said. They look at Apple TV Plus and they're like, we want that where the villains use non-products.
They're still using Nokia phones. They're the outlaws from the Matrix, still calling for an exit.
Yeah, it's Ryan Johnson pointed this out a few years ago. You can always tell in an Apple TV show who the villain is because they're not using Apple products.
Yep,
and I think
tracks.
What they want to do is get shows made, but not have to run the platform. Apple has to run the platform.
Yeah. That's interesting. And that does, I remember, I guess coming up on 15, 18 years ago, speculating that that in the phone environment, there would be a Mac versus PC war coming. And sure enough, that's what iOS and Android were. And now we're seeing the same thing in yet another face. The same two archetypes.
But it's Google saying, we're not going to put these on YouTube, even though we have a platform. We're going to put them Max, Netflix, whoever wants them. We want to be the production company that gives them to other people to distribute.
Yeah,
Google's also updating Google TV with a streamlined new setup experience that uses an Android phone or an iPhone and a QR code with no app download required. This new setup experience is only available on Hisense U7 and U8 series Google TV devices for now.
So I've been to a few hotels that had this kind of thing where all you have to do is, scan a QR code. In general, they've been kind of Amazon affiliated things that didn't play nice with the iOS. I'll be interested to see if they've figured out, I don't know, any top spin that plays nice with iOS, although I don't know why they would be incentivized to do so.
The QR code will just take you into the Google app, is my guess. And then the Google app will be like, oh, you're logged in as Brian. We know all of your settings. Would you like us to apply it to that machine?
Oh, yeah. No, that would make sense at some point. So it would be, because it would be a web app. And yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Whereas the Android phone, it's all in the Google system already. They can
I'll
just
tell you what, very brief side jack. I don't know how I feel about everything using Google for sign in. On the one hand, it's very convenient, but there's a level of intimacy and self-introspection that happens on ChatGPT because it's so useful for all these, personal goal settings or to, let's say, demystify your health information or whatever. Like using your Google login for that, suddenly the stakes get a lot higher. I mean, email is already enough, but then, your thoughts as well.
You're jumping to the conclusion that what you put into ChatGPT is shared with Google because you log in. It's not supposed to be.
No. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that all of a sudden one secure login, if it gets compromised, it's not just a matter of all your web preferences. It's not just a matter of all of your business emails.
It's all your eggs in one basket.
It's also your anxieties and therapy sessions.
Yeah, and eggs are expensive these days. Yeah. They're more valuable than ever. So you don't want them all in one basket. Roku announced it has a deal to acquire Ferndly TV. I think it's supposed to be pronounced friendly, but it's spelled FRNDLY. It is a low-cost subscription streaming service that offers family-friendly live TV, on-demand video, and cloud-based DVR. Has more than 50 channels, $7 a month.
To be honest, this niche, I never know which way to, people yell at you, whichever way you say it.
Yeah.
This niche.
Just say niche and then they'll all be mad.
Then they'll all agree I'm wrong. This niche is really what I think we reported on Chick-fil-A talking about starting a streaming service. This is exactly what I would have pictured from a Chick-fil-A kind of service.
Yeah, but this is like Hallmark Channel, Lifetime Channel. These are established brands, right? So you don't have a new thing, and it's built into Roku.
Yeah. Well, I don't know that I'm paying $6.99 a month, but then again, the target demographic are probably logged in with their Google account, where it's easy to click make It's a Wonderful Life happen, and you happen to luck into a subscription.
Roku, in competition with people that provide streaming services, now has its own streaming service. It already had a fast service, so it's becoming less neutral. The big advantage for Roku for many years was, it's the neutral one. Everybody plays nice. So we'll see if they keep playing nice. Multiple users have also reported that HDR content on Roku-powered devices looks washed out on multiple apps. It started with Disney Plus, but then people were like, no, I'm seeing it on Netflix. I'm seeing it on Apple TV Plus. Users all reported that the problem began with the latest Roku OS 14.5 update, which was an automatic update, so you can't roll it back. It just happened. It seems to be affecting TCL TVs and some reports on Sharp and Hisense TVs. It does not appear to be affecting the Roku streaming sticks. In fact, one user found that their Roku streaming stick worked when they plugged it into the Hisense TV that wasn't working, or the TCL TV.
Yeah, this is, I can speak to the content creation side on this HDR issue. HDR is not one of those enhancements that it's immediately inherently obvious whether or not you're seeing it or not. It's probably in a side-by-side with it regular versus turned on. But if you have it turned on and there's something misconfigured, recently when I was creating content for the YouTube channel, I turned on some HDR stuff, and it took, 30, 40 minutes for me to find out that the washed out garbage footage that I was seeing was supposed to look that way because so-and-so wasn't able to display it. So this sounds to me like a human at some point saw it, an engineer received something. It's like, yep, that looks like that's the footage, and something was misconfigured to where it just wasn't displaying the HDR-ness.
Maybe. But it's happening across all shows on multiple apps. So it's something happening on the OS level, right?
Yeah.
But it's not happening to every show on every app.
That's why I'm thinking it's whoever pushed the approval. I
don't know if it's intentional, is what I'm saying. It feels like something broke down in the HDR translation,
and that's what I'm saying as well.
Okay.
And what I'm specifically pointing a finger at is most likely a human didn't know it wasn't supposed to look like that.
Wasn't supposed to look like that. Yeah.
I'm thinking specifically when I was a projectionist, we got the firm in, and it kind of looked messed up, and I wrote a note on it, and I got in big trouble because I didn't know the standards of excellence that Cinemark required. I was apparently supposed to call and wake up the manager in the middle of the night.
Well, there you go. Now you know. Next time it happens, you'll call them. The President of the United States said he has directed the Department of Commerce to figure out how to tax film and TV shows made outside of the U.S. The President called it a tariff, but it's unclear how that would work as there's no physical good being imported. U.S. studios do shoot many films and TV shows overseas, but production is based in the U.S., and the U.S. film industry has a trade surplus with the rest of the world. Usually tariffs are meant to correct a trade deficit. The President is relying on advice from Jon Voight, Mel Gibson, and Sylvester Stallone on this matter.
Yeah. Moving right along.
We'll see what happens. This is definitely one of those the president has said, not the president has done. Samsung launched a house channel for their FAST networks. Samsung TVs have a very good FAST service, and you can get the Samsung FAST channel on browser as well. You don't have to have a Samsung device. The Samsung Television Network will be the exclusive home of the Jonas Brothers' upcoming tour, and will also feature live sports offerings and library fare, including old David Letterman and Conan O'Brien late night episodes, as well as a library of shows like Killing Eve.
I would be so curious how any of the ads are tracked on any of this, like or how they're counted, not how they're tracked. Obviously, they run them and they're all like, we broadcast them. Who knows who watched? But yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting that they're putting a premier Samsung television network together that isn't just all Letterman episodes. They're going to have a channel for that too, if you just want to watch old Letterman episodes. But this will be like a traditional television network. It'll have some live concerts from the Jonas Brothers, and then it'll have some live sports, and then reruns of old Conan O'Brien, just like old Channel 11 used to do, or something like that.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to the chatter.
Got mail.
Big thanks to Pete, who sent a site that shows all the IMDb ratings for a show's episode together. It's called seriesgraph.com, and it has them color coded. This is going to be so helpful for the full experience.
Yeah,
Dark green, 9 to 10, green, 8 to 9, yellow, 7.1 to 7.9, orange, 6 to 7, red, 4 to 6, and purple, 0 to 4.
Yeah, it's also fun too. I've seen top Reddit posts where somebody has mechanically gone through and made all of these, and it's interesting to see the heat map of, for example, Breaking Bad versus Better Call Saul, where you have kind of essentially most of the same cast and inverse stories told in different ways. This is great. Good on whoever did it, and thank you very much for sending it over.
Yeah, Pete, thanks for sending that along. Also, Ryan in Minneapolis would like to make a last-minute plea for us not to watch Andor yet for the full experience. We are finishing up Moonlighting this week, and the idea is that we'll be able to go right into Andor because it will technically be done by the time we finish watching it on the full experience. It's the closest you can get to honoring the rule that a show must have done its run before we can do it on the full experience. Ryan says, it's too soon. You should give shows at least a few years to establish best and worst, maybe 10. I'm only a newish follower of the show. That way you have some more cult following growing the appeal versus it being a critical panning of an episode. Like the ultimate episode of Moonlighting was a good episode, but the best one was season 2, episode 3, which was just a few weeks before it. The Lady in the Iron Mask was so well written and executed, but IMDb disagrees, and of course, they're the keeper of the truth, not me. Anywho, I think you need to let Andor age a bit first. You wouldn't do the full experience of Star Trek Discovery, would you? Its run ended recently. Now there's an idea.
Keep in mind that that part of the full experience test, the thesis that we're testing, is whether or not culturally you could get away with saying, yeah, I got the full experience on that. Whether or not, with the excuse in my mind being of you're at a dinner party, somebody wants to talk to you about Babylon 5, you can assure them that you speak Babylon 5 just by watching the first Ultimate Lowest Last. And in that vision, I think this makes it kind of the most relevant test. Like, let's say everyone's gawking about Andor. You don't have time to watch Andor. Can you give it the full experience? Can you speak Andor at the next kegger or whatever? That's, I don't know. If anything, that kind of makes me want even more to do it with this.
I also want to test if Ryan's right? Like, let's do it because we can, and then find out what happens. If nothing happens and we're like, nope, that was a pretty good full experience. If we redid it today, it would be the exact same way. Then we know, like, you can know pretty soon. Obviously, perceptions of what is the best and worst episode will change over time, but I think that's always true, right? As the culture changes. So to that extent, the full experience is always going to be of its time because the best and worst might change for any show, even shows from the 60s, 70s, and 80s. But I'd kind of like to put it to the test because of the things that Ryan is saying. That's kind of one of the reasons I like doing it. By the way, Pete and Ryan, both in our chat room right now.
Hells yeah.
Is Jeff Rose. Jeff says, hey, killers, as you come into the home stretch with Moonlighting, I think you should have a very special episode where you watch the season 3 episode Sam and Dave, which has an appearance by none other than Jeff Jarvis. It would be fun to have Jeff on briefly to talk about the experience.
That sounds really interesting. I like that idea.
Whenever we do the full experience, somebody says, can you just do one more episode for the episode I like? But this is one of the best justifications for it I've seen.
It's pretty good, and it would be a very special episode for us to have. But then all of a sudden, we're at the periphery of fame enough that it's like, okay, well, now do we just like get everyone who's associated with anything on constantly?
Is Rona Barrett still alive?
Yeah, right.
Well,
oh my God, I just realized we could do a full experience for The Simpsons. Nope,
but it's not done yet.
It'll never.
It's still running.
Yeah,
and we'll never be able to do The Simpsons.
We'll
but
be dead.
when The Simpsons ends, we should do it immediately.
Oh yeah,
yeah. If we're still alive. Our website is cordkillers.com. Our email address is cordkillers@gmail.com. And we are live at twitch.tv/Night Attack Tuesdays, 5:30 p.m. Eastern, 2:30 p.m. Pacific. I reckon we'll talk to you next time.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.